O labing makagagahom nga amay namon sa langit, mahinuklugon nga laon nga tagtuga sang langit, hangin, kalayo, tubig kag duta. Tanda ining imong timawa, kabay ining pag-ampo, magadulot sa amon sang kabuhi nga himaya. Salamat sa mga bugay nga imo ginpaambit sa amon. Salamat sa kabuhi nga ginadulot mo sa amon nga himpit. Salamat sa maayo nga panahon kag ilabi na gid sang imo katutom sa amon. Bendisyone ang imo katawhan. Bendisyone ang ila mga palangabuhian. Bendisyone ang mga panggas sa amon mga talamnan. Bendisyone ang ilang nga paglugayawan sa iban nga kapungsuran. Kabay makalabot sila nga walay sablag sa ila pagapadulungan. Kag ilabi na gid, bendisyone ining isla sang Negros nga amon natawhan. Inahalad namon ang ining pag-ampo para sa imo kadayawan.
Ang magiliw kay sa silanganan, alam ng puso sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang imirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisihil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may hilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdinigdig. Ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhagit pansinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Ang hinigaya na pag may mga aki, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Sa kita kami sakripisyo sa uswagan ng sikatao. Matutuot na Negros sa anon, isa katao na mabigalang tao. Sa punatang ko ang dati sakripisyo, pagbulikan, paghigain, paghigugmag, dapat maghari. Para sa kauswagan ng sikatao.
Hello, good afternoon, maayong hapon. My name is Red of NOLITC, and we are so happy that you decided to join this webinar on NOLITC Esports, creating a career opportunities through campus esports and gaming. This event is presented to you by Negros Occidental Language and Information Technology Center in partnership with AcadArena through the Office of the Governor, Governor Eugenio Sebong Lacson. So why esports is a good thing? The cognitive benefits are really very impressive, but there is also a variety of career opportunities connected to esports industries. In this learning session, we will learn how we can turn online gaming into a prospective career opportunity. Let's make it fun, collaborative, and insightful for everyone. NOLITC continues to introduce innovative programs through the strong support of our provincial government. We are recognized nationally as Outstanding TechFred Center by the Department of Communications and of Information and Communications Technology. We are also two-star awardee in our TESDA registered programs by TESDA in 2020, and PhilSecNet awarded the center with the Pandemic Resilience Award for its support for teachers and students category. Let me remind you to fill out the online attendance right now. The link to the online attendance is pinned in the comment section. We will not be able to catch up with all of your questions, so you can also post your questions in the comment section. Right there, the link to our online attendance is also flashed on your screen right now, or you can also click the link in the comment section. To participate in the open forum, you will need to post your questions again in the comments section. Please find the comments. You may interact with us through the comment section. The moderator will bring them up towards the end of the presentation. So if you have not seen our previous post yet, you can always check out our social media accounts. Kindly like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. To our participants who are joining with us virtually, you may post or make a shout out of your name and from which place you are joining us from. We would love to know. We will acknowledge you in the duration of this webinar. Thank you. And I know that you're all excited to learn about career opportunities in esports. We actually have a very good resource speaker for today. And to introduce our expert speaker, let's welcome to our virtual space the NOLITC Esports lead, a very hardworking training coordinator of NOLITC. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Mr. John Parson Hernia.
Thank you, Ms. Red. Let me introduce to you our speaker for today. Isaiah has spearheaded partnership for esports and the academe, creating industry linkages between AcadArena and the National University System. Far Eastern University, the Technological Institute of the Philippines, and our very own Negros Occidental Language and Information Technology Center. Among others, his work has made it easier for campus administrators, teachers, and professionals to implement and institutionalize campus esports and gaming programs throughout the Philippines. He has also overseen the development of the country's very first campus esports laboratory, set to launch April of this year. Before getting into esports, Isaiah was a litigation lawyer, obtaining his law degree from the University of the Philippines and practiced for 7 years in the fields of corporate disputes, labor standards, and labor relations, property, and criminal law. Now, he spends his time creating academic and extracurricular programs and initiatives for campuses to show that esports and gaming is not just play. To talk about creating career opportunities through campus esports and gaming, let's welcome attorney Isaiah San Miguel, Scholastic Programs Manager of AcadArena Technologies.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for that great introduction, Sir Jan. I'm very excited to be talking here today to all of you about career opportunities in campus esports.
Thank you, attorney. I know everyone is really interested to know the career opportunities for gaming and esports.
Yeah,
Attorney, you may have the
yeah,
virtual floor.
yeah, sure. Thank you very much. So yeah, so before we begin, right, we've already seen two previous talks. We learned about community development from our Kenneth Alog, how to create clubs, organizations, communities within your region, within your school. We've learned about competition from our Mikey Alberto, how about how to create a healthy team culture and how to be a great competitor in the realm of esports. So today, we're here to complete the three pillars of what Academia believes to be the three core pillars of campus esports and gaming, which is careers. I know there's a lot of interest in esports and gaming, not just from the students, but also from teachers and parents who may look at this with a degree of caution. They're wondering, what will my students, what will my children get out of this? What are the opportunities available to them in the future if they do choose to pursue this? And of course, for the students, we want to be able to show what exactly you're getting into, what are the opportunities that are available to you, and how you're able to access them in the future. So, that's the hope we give you a better understanding of the industry and what you can expect as young professionals coming into the field. So, I'll give a brief background about the esports scene in the Philippines, which I think most of you should be already familiar with, given the two previous talks. What the scene is like, and let's tackle first common misconceptions about the esports industry and what it takes to actually work in the esports and gaming industry. We'll go on to discuss how to prepare for that industry and how campus esports actually does enable students and enable the youth to access these opportunities in the future. So, I guess to begin, let's just discuss what even is esports. I think is an important distinction because later on we'll be talking about the different industries. So a lot of people think of esports as, Mobile Legends tournaments, as these large international tournaments where it's a big stage, you have two teams fighting it out and huge production, right? But it's important to distinguish that and it's important to like create a very good definition of what esports is, right? It is traditionally sports, but it's video games, right? So it's two aspects that they are played in a highly organized and competitive environment, and two, they're video games. It's important to make this distinction because of gaming. So we'll get into this later as to why the distinction is important. But for now, it's important to know that for esports, it's all about organized leagues and having a competitive structure. It is a subset of the larger industry that is the gaming industry. So gaming, like if you play video games, usually do it for fun, usually a casual player. It's an umbrella term that encompasses everything about playing video games. So esports is a smaller subset of that, where again it's focused on competition, it's focused on organized leagues. So what does the esports scene in the Philippines actually look like? We actually have a very healthy esports scene. It is quite focused, of course, on competition. We have had multiple national leagues running in the Philippines already for both amateur, professional, and collegiate. There are a lot of opportunities for the youth, for students, and for young professionals to explore esports professionally. And we've already reached the point where our esport athletes are actually getting international recognition. So we have the help of the Philippine Esports Organization, who is in charge of making sure that our esport athletes do find international opportunities. So in the past SEA Games, the 2022 SEA Games, we actually fielded 54 esport athletes. Majority of these were students. They were students to young professionals who are able to go out of the country, represent the Philippines, and actually bag us 2 gold medals and 2 silver medals. So there is no lack of opportunity for professional players, right? But there is always that misconception of like, okay, now I do want to get into this industry. I see its benefits. You're a student. You see na this is so exciting. It's being recognized internationally. We have students being able to represent the country. What now? How do I get into this? And it's very important to note that there are many opportunities to get into esports and gaming, not just through competitive play. So let's go through the common misconceptions of an individual who might be fresh to the industry, or a student who is looking at the esports industry and thinking, how do I get into this? How do I start to work for the esports industry? So first misconception, no? And there's a common misconception that you have to be good at the game to work in esports. Again, we came from that discussion of this is what the esports industry is like in the Philippines. It's all about competition. It's all about being able to represent your region, your city, your country, and compete internationally. But there's more than competition to esports, right? And it's very important to note that you don't have to be good at a game to be able to work in the industry. Again, people think that it's a professional player, right? That's what people see when they look at the esports industry. It's what people remember, and of course, there's a good reason why, diba? Because that's what people see as esports. It's two teams fighting each other on a big stage, and that's true, right? But behind the scenes, there are maybe to a team of five, no? There's maybe 50 people behind the scenes working to make sure that that team, that event, that competition is able to run. This is a list, no? Not even an exhaustive list of what people do miss. So a lot of these positions, a lot of these roles don't require you to be good at the game. Of course, it's very helpful to have a decent understanding of how the game works. I think it would be very hard to run a Mobile Legends tournament if you've never played Mobile Legends. But you don't have to be Mythic 5 in Mobile Legends to be able to run a tournament. You don't have to be Mythic 5 in Mobile Legends to create a poster for the tournament that maybe your community is running. A lot of these opportunities, a lot of these roles are available to the youth, are available to young professionals, even if you're not good at the game. So I'm not saying, of course, that you shouldn't try to be good at the game. It always helps, especially if you are looking at careers that might involve um, more of the competitive side. If you want to be a coach, if you want to be an analyst, it does help, of course, to have a better understanding of the game. If you want to be a shoutcaster or a host, it's of course better that you understand the game well. But for a lot of different roles, we want to break that misconception that you have to be, high rank to be able to participate, to be able to work in the esports industry. That's not true. So, what's the second common misconception? This one I've heard a lot, not only from students, but also from teachers, no? That you have to study esports to be able to work in the esports industry. A lot of teachers have asked me, like, what do we do? How do we prepare students for this industry? Does there have to be, BS esports? Does there have to be a full subject on esports? How do we approach it? Again, this is not true that you have to dedicate and devote your entire, let's say, 4-year course to study esports to be able to work in the esports industry. And I'll explain why. It's because esports itself has multiple career pathways that, again, intersect with multiple disciplines, which means that the esports industry is hard to contain within one degree because it is multidisciplinary. Like a student can take this path. So, like what I'm showing on screen right now are a few examples of roles that a student might engage in when they're in school, or if they're part of an organization, right? They might start running a league, running a tournament for the campus. They might go into coaching. They might go into team management, choose to become an analyst later on. Sometimes you're such a good analyst, you now want to start creating content around your analysis. You become a marketer of your own content and maybe graduate to a content creator. This is just one of many paths, and it hits a lot of different disciplines, shown on screen. No, like this path would take you through business and management, through sports management, through marketing, and then you'd end up in communications. It's hard to encapsulate all of this in one degree. Again, one example lang. A student could become a project manager, end up becoming a coach, end up becoming a graphic designer. It really doesn't matter how you explore the realm of esports. What's important to note is that there are many ways to engage with this industry. And because of that, it's very hard to uh, put it into one box only. So typically, you'd explore a discipline in depth. If you are a marketing student and you know about esports, that's very helpful. If you are a communications major and you then choose to become a content creator in the future, then that's also very helpful for you because you're aware of this bigger industry. And this ties in very well to the third misconception about working for esports or working for the esports and gaming industry is that you have to work for an esports or gaming company. So a lot of people, a lot of students ask like, how can we apply to like AcadArena? Or like, what are the companies out there that are engaged in esports and gaming that are hiring? The reality is there's not a lot. It's a big industry, but it's growing, which means if you want to work in the esports or gaming industry, there's a lot of demand. There's a lot of people trying to get into the industry. But the good thing about this is that since it is a growing industry, there's a lot of other brands, a lot of other companies that are interested in esports and gaming. So here are a few good examples, both local and international, of non-endemic companies. When I say non-endemic, these are companies that are not into esports or gaming, but they now engage with the industry because of the opportunities and the traction popularity of the esports and gaming industry. So a good example, Cebu Pacific had a project with PUBG Mobile where I think they emulated the PUBG experience in a Cebu Pacific flight. We have a few examples of international collaborations. We have 7-Eleven partnering with Rocket League, uh, a game title, right? You have Louis Vuitton, a fashion company, partnering with Riot, a game developer. They created apparel for League of Legends. And this one I found out only yesterday. Pretty interesting. L'Oreal had partnered with an esports team in Australia. So it was all about um, cosmetics, men's cosmetics for gamers. So a lot of these interactions are created of um, not because people are working for the esports and gaming industry. It's because there's a bigger understanding of other companies outside of the industry. They look at esports and gaming and see the opportunity, and they need people who understand esports and gaming, of course. So we can look at it as sort of like this chart where esports, you can see only one or only a small aspect of it is actually, or only a small aspect of the industry is focused on competition. This is the larger gaming industry where it covers events such as Conquest, such as Pinoy Gaming Festival. You have these big tournaments that are happening. You have VCT, and all of these other pop-up events, whether big or small, happening. They're part of the industry as well. You have the entire industry of the publishers and the developers of the games. So this delves into game development, into software development, into game design. Right? You have the entire industry of journalism looking to understand, looking how to use journalism, how to use news articles to attract people to read their publications, both on games and esports. You have content creation, and so everyone like doing Facebook Live, doing Twitch streaming, or like streaming on Facebook. They're part of this industry as well. Again, one aspect of it. You have the this one delves more into like professional teams, like performance and training for professional esports teams, tech and equipment. So the laptops, the mics, the mice that people use, also part of the industry because there's a lot of demand for good tech and good equipment. We've seen a lot of telecommunications like Globe, Smart, get interested in esports as well because to play esports and gaming, typically you would want to have good internet, right? And then of course you have merchandise. You buy the T-shirts of your favorite esports team. You buy a baller or a cap of a esport or a content creator that you enjoy. There's another aspect of it. And of course, where AcadArena lies is more in collegiate and scholastic programs. So even AcadArena, even though we are very engaged with the entire esports industry, we're but a part of this large industry now. So the numbers on the left, we can see global esports revenue. This is in US dollars. The Philippines is actually pretty high up in terms of Southeast Asia. So we're very close to Singapore with like $6.6 million in revenue last year. So this mostly covers sponsorships and advertisings. Again, like I said, no, a lot of brands, a lot of companies outside esports and gaming are interested in being able to tap into the the market. So this means, if you are good at marketing, if you are good at communications, if you are good at project management, these are all skills that could lead you to be working in the esports industry. So again, going by this, a breakdown of the 6.16 million dollars now and how it's split. So we have at the top sponsorship and advertising 2.15 million, and then you have all bundled together around the same area. Publisher fees, again, game developers, media rights for broadcasting for esports broadcasts, and ticketing. So this goes into events now. Interestingly enough, streaming is only a very small portion of the esports industry, but again, it is part of it because it is content creation, and a lot of people engage with content creators as part of the esports industry. So this comes from our friends from Pearson BTech and the British Esports Academy about to give us a good look, no, of like what other careers a student that is engaged in esports and gaming can enter. If you can look down the list on the right, these are all non non-endemic careers. They're not related to esports and gaming, but because of the influence, because of the exposure that a student would have in esports and gaming, they're able to unlock these career opportunities now. Cybersecurity, software development, digital engineering, all of this very like high tech, very focused on STEM industries. So being able to transition from, say, becoming a professional player, maybe that would lead you to have a interest in engineering or mathematics, and that would eventually lead you to have a career perhaps in software development, in game development. So there are a lot of career pathways, and again, this goes back to my point earlier where it's very hard to put all of these skills into just one course. And that's why, again, multifaceted, multidisciplinary approach, I think, is the best uh, approach to learning esports for students to get into the esports industry, and for teachers as well to share their knowledge, or to teach the students now the skills that they need for these types of possible careers in the future. So we've gone over the common misconceptions of like what does it take to get into the industry itself. Now, let's approach it as now how do we prepare for these careers? What do we do as students, as teachers, as advisors, as professionals to make sure that students are able to access these careers in the future? So, for us, we believe that esports and gaming is a great equalizer because of these things. No, one, info is readily accessible because of the internet. it doesn't matter where you live, as long as you have connected, you're able to access information that is available internationally. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what gender you are able to access the internet and get this information. Two, um, the Philippines has a very high mastery of the English language relative to our Southeast Asian um, neighbors. And that does give us a huge competitive advantage. This enables our professionals to be paid international rates even early on in their career because our services are in demand not only in the Philippines but internationally. So this is something that we can expect as the industry grows not only in the Philippines but also in the Southeast Asian region. So how exactly do we get students into it now? For us, it's all about using esports and gaming as a medium to teach transferable skills in new emerging digital media. So we'll focus on this phrase because we'll be breaking it down now into parts. So at its core, esports and gaming is fun. That's why people play games now. That's why I play video games because it is a fun hobby to engage in. What we're able to do is use esports and gaming as a medium to teach students, to teach the youth. And because it's something that's enjoyable, they are more engaged. They're more willing to learn. They're more interested in the subject matter. And what happens is because of that interest, it's a smoother process. Learning new skills then comes naturally. So we focus on like using it as a uh, as a medium, no? We can also look at it to teach transferable skills. So, like I discussed now, because a student or a young person would go through multiple pathways when they go through the world of esports and gaming. No, there are a lot of soft skills, there are a lot of hard skills that a student can learn. So, from teamwork, cooperation, communication, leadership, discipline, all of this, uh, you can learn from being part of your esports community, which is great because that's exactly what we're doing with help of NOLITC, creating communities. So because you are part of this community, because maybe in the future, you'll look to create more events for your campus, more events for your community, you will naturally learn these soft skills. And again, moving to being able to apply these skills in real life examples, being able to manage an event, being able to market an event, being able to create graphics, posters, pub mats for your event, for your esports tournament, learning how to broadcast and learning how to produce online broadcasts. These are all hard skills that you're also able to use, not just in the esports and gaming industry. You're able to use these skills to other industries, precisely the word, they're transferable. No, they're not limited to just esports and gaming. You can spend your entire high school and college experience. Maybe you're part of a community, maybe you become the president of your esports and gaming organization. When you graduate, you're expected to have these transferable skills that you can use in another industry, not just esports and gaming. So I guess this is just another misconception that we should address now, like how exactly we teach students and how actually do students learn through esports and gaming. We have to emphasize now that it's not about teaching esports. You're not going to become, or maybe you will, no, but our goal is not to teach you how to become a better player. Ba? Precisely, we went through the discussion earlier about how it's not just about professional players. It's about the support system, the 90% of back end that happens or the 90% of the back end necessary for the esports event to happen. So all of that is what we are looking to teach. We're using esports and gaming merely as a vehicle for students to learn these skills. And how do we do it? No, it's as simple as being able to support these students, allow them to embrace esports and gaming, allow them to do these events because it is something that they do truly enjoy. It's something that comes naturally to them. It's something that is fun for them. And again, a lot of transferable skills get developed, get taught to them just because they're engaging with something that they already enjoy. So let's go through it now. Like we've been talking about it sort of like in theory of like, oh, you'll get these transferable skills. Let's go to one of the most, I guess, bread and butter of esports and gaming, which is an esports tournament. So for the students that are here, that are watching, you're here because you joined the first Panaad Festival Esports Tournament. So maybe you're here to learn more about, okay, I enjoyed my experience. I want to explore a career. So let's look at the esports tournament itself. No? Where do we begin? So I want an esports tournament. I'm part of a community and I want to set up an esports tournament. I would probably need, an events organizer, a program coordinator to make sure everything flows well. If I have a if I want my finals, for example, to be live, now I need a venue manager. So now I'm talking to a lot of people, no? Suddenly, now I'm also being trained to manage and develop a business because now I'm coordinating with other companies to make sure now I have a venue, coordinating with other companies to find sponsors, coordinating with other companies to find partners for this event. So that's the event pa lang. We move on to the game itself. You'll have referees, you'll have marshals, you'll have a technical director who's speaking to all of the teams, making sure that everything runs properly. You have the tournament director who comes up with the rules, who comes up with who manages any disputes between the teams. These are very technical skills, very important skills that you can apply just because you're running an esports tournament. No, so I already have my event. I already have a tournament. What else do I need? Well, I want to make sure that it's fun to watch. No, so maybe I'll get shoutcasters. Maybe I'll get a host. Now I need videographers as well. There will be a need for observers and stream engineers to make sure that the stream runs, audio engineers to make sure that the broadcast it sounds good and looks good. So suddenly you're getting into these very highly technical skills of like videography, of broadcast, and these are things that students are trained as early as in high school. Some of the students already know how to broadcast or to make online broadcasts, which is great. So I'm already doing a broadcast. I'm already doing an event. I want to make sure that more people know about it. I want to be able to market it. I'll get a social media manager, right? Social media manager maybe partners with a copywriter to make sure that the marketing copy of the social media post looks good. It reads well. You'll get a graphic artist to create, your fancy posters, your nice looking tournament bracket to make sure that it's attractive. Because of course you want people to join the tournament, to watch the tournament, and to enjoy it. If you're doing a live event, suddenly you need photographers to make sure that you get those good action shots, and you're able to give it to journalists, and they'll be able to talk about the event more after the event and report on like who won, what happened with the tournament, what happened with the event, etc. So all of this, no, all from running an esports tournament. We're not yet done. We've already run an esports tournament. This is one thing that some of you may graduate into, where you want to now have a community because you enjoyed your experience in the tournament. You have other people who enjoyed their experience in the tournament, and they want to do it again. You want to find like-minded individuals who are also interested in having more events as a community. Someone will need to manage those that community for you. You might be students will start taking the roles of community managers, of moderators to make sure that everyone's friendly. Maybe if you're a more creative type, you'll end up becoming a content creator. You'll be creating entertainment for your community naman. So a lot of these roles are satisfied, no, or like created just from a basic esports tournament. And meron pa, of course, we're not forgetting about the teams themselves. You have the players, the coaches, the analysts, and the managers. Not everyone gets to participate in esports this way. Again, it's a five at most, diba? It's a five-player team. But if you want to be able to um, engage with industry, engage with this hobbies that you enjoy in other means, there are a lot of good ways to do so. And again, what I'm showing on screen is just I guess, an overview of the opportunities that you have just from an esports tournament alone. So, is this something that that AcadArena and NOLITC is hoping to do? No. Well, yes, but in reality, we're actually looking to replicate what's already been done, because this isn't just theory. No, this is something that students have already done in the past. We've had, so in Region 6 alone, no, we have Mustang Esports from SCI West Negros. You have the Rectican Esports from the University of St. Lasal. Student clubs have run campus-wide events for a university population of upwards of 5 to 10,000 students. No, you've had, I guess, our tournament alone, the first Panaad Mobile Legends tournament, we had, I think, 200 plus teams participate, right? And that is also thanks to Rectican Esports for being able to help facilitate the marshalling of the tournament, right? A lot of good examples of student clubs taking the initiative, applying the skills that they learn in esports and gaming to create something for their community. And this is something that is happening already. We have student clubs initiating and spurring discussion. Not also, again, it goes to not just esport tournaments. No, there are discussions happening, there are seminars happening, workshops happening on leadership, no, on etiquette, how to be a better gamer, right? And even inclusivity. Because again, like we discussed, esports is a great equalizer. Doesn't matter who you are. If you want to be part of the esports and gaming community, you can be, right? And even more, no, we're seeing student clubs getting opportunities in broadcasting, in marketing, intercollegiate leagues. So they are actually getting gigs to because of their esports experience. We have had, so in the past, when AcadArena ran Alliance Games, they actually partnered with the Holy Angel University from Pampanga for them to be able to, they were our streaming partner. They helped us broadcast the games themselves. We have the Sasafi Esports League in Cebu, which is also majority run by student volunteers. We have had the NCAA South Esports League, I believe in its third season this year, also being led and spearheaded by students. So these are opportunities, real opportunities that students are getting outside of their campus because of their interest in esports and gaming. So I guess looking at it from a um, farther perspective, now what do we do now as a community, as uh, leaders, as advisors? What do we do now? No, how do we help these students, and how can the students help themselves? So for us, it's all about establishing a community. It's easier to work when you are a team, right? It's easier to work when you have an organization, a community to rally behind, kumbaga, a place to call home, where you know that you have a team behind you and you're sustainable. It's not just one esports team in your campus. Na you join one tournament, you place third, and then okay na, right? We want to be able to create a sustainable community, a sustainable environment. So for us, it's all about finding your friends. Finding friends. I think this is more of like what Ken discussed in the past talk, no, where it's all about establishing a community. For the teachers, for the campus administrators, it's all about removing the stigma of making sure that your students are empowered to actually do what they want to do and do what they can do. We normalize esports and gaming in campus. This allows the students to unlock their potential. They're able to do these things that other students have shown that they're capable of. So if they can do it, why not you guys as well, right? And lastly, this is for everyone, right? We want to be able to band together. We want to be able to compete a friendly competition, and collaborate. No, to make sure that one, we're bringing the standard up. so that when when one club comes into the community and they see what another club is doing, they want to do better. They want to make sure that this is the standard, right? This is what a esports tournament in Negros province would look like, right? And now we want to do better than that because it helps everyone. It creates this standard, right? And it creates a healthy competition within the region, within these communities. So everyone has fun and everyone gets better in the process. So it's actually quite simple. Some people think that, like, how do we make sure that our students are able to get these opportunities? Again, we went through the misconceptions. We went through how Academia believes that the best way for the youth to be able to engage in this industry. So I hope that this is something that we all can do together, unlock the students and give them what we wish we had in school. No. And yeah, that is my talk, uh, called Not Just Play. It's about creating career opportunities through campus esports and gaming. And I hope it was insightful and enjoyable for those who participated and watched. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Isaiah, for that very insightful discussion on career opportunities for esports. So, yeah, we now open this segment for our open forum session. We will be asking you some questions in relation
Mhm.
to the topic. So, are you ready?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, yeah, let's start. And here, first question. Do you need to have a deep understanding of video games to pursue career in esports? What do you
Mhm.
think?
Yeah, sure. So I think I did discuss this during the talk. Non, you don't need a deep understanding of video games. Do you need some understanding? Yes, of course. It's very
Mhm.
hard for an individual to work in the esports industry or in the gaming industry without even knowing what, or without, if you're not capable of, like, say, differentiating between one
Yeah,
esports genre and another, it might be difficult. But you don't need to be a gamer. No, I can look at our company right now. We have a few people who are, for example, working in business development, working in sales, working in HR, that are not gamers themselves. They don't play video games that often. They might not have grown up playing video games. It
yeah.
might not have been part of their, like, their collegiate or their school life, but now they're working in the esports industry. Of course, it depends on what a student or a young professional would want to do. No? If you're
Mhm.
looking to become a coach, an
Mhm.
analyst, a broadcaster, it would definitely help to have a good understanding of esports and video games. But if you're looking to work in the back end, you want to learn, you want to work in broadcast, you want to learn, or sorry, work in graphic design,
Yeah.
then maybe you don't need to be, high rank. You don't need to be really so immersed in that culture. So
Mhm.
it is a career opportunity for everyone.
Mhm. Yes, and it is really a growing industry now, and one of the skills in the 21st century
Mm-hmm.
competency skills. So it's nice to hone some skills in relation to esports, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you for generously answering that question, Attorney. And let us move on to our second question. Esports is a worldwide phenomenon, but why do you think there's still
Mm.
stigma about it?
Yeah, actually, it's a very good question. No?
Mhm.
When I think when people discuss about or talk about the esports industry, and they say that, oh, it's so big, it's a massive industry, it's a global phenomenon. That's true, but we should also look at the bigger picture and understand that esports is actually a very young industry. Um, it started maybe 20 years ago in first world countries like South Korea and North America, right? But there are a lot of developing countries that sort of like entered the esports scene very late, maybe 10 years ago. So Philippines, you look at the Philippines, and esports kind of started here around 10 years ago, but it only took off 2018. And we can actually, we've done some research on this now, as to exactly why esports took off in the Philippines like very late 2018, no? And it's because of fiber internet. that's
Mhm.
when fiber internet was introduced into the Philippines around 2018. So you see a sudden jump in internet speed from like 5
Yeah.
Mbps to 30 Mbps average. So
Mhm.
that enabled a lot of people to start engaging in esports
Mhm.
because the internet's better. They can play more games. They can watch content produced internationally, and
Mhm.
that sort of like opened the gates for um, the youth and young professionals and older people like myself to engage in that industry. No, so yeah, so it is massive. It's a worldwide phenomenon, but it's very new. So understandably, a lot of the perhaps the older generation, which again, I guess that's another misconception. I have a lot of peers
Yeah.
that are around my age that
Mhm.
also that still don't understand esports and gaming, no.
Mhm.
And they're not old people. They're like around 30s.
Mhm.
But they still don't also don't understand esports. They don't understand gaming. So it's not really
Mhm.
something that is limited to like, oh, kapag yung my lolo doesn't like me playing games or my dad doesn't like me playing games.
Mhm.
It also applies to like our generation
Mhm.
of millennials,
Yeah.
where that stigma still exists even there, no. And again, it's because it's very new.
Mhm.
I think as time goes on, it'll be more ingrained in our society. I think this generation of students definitely has a much better understanding of esports and gaming. um, and so slowly that stigma will eventually fade away.
Mhm. Yes, and it's really nice that we have initiatives like this one. AcadArena has advocacy on esports. So more people could understand, especially
Mhm.
parents and educators can understand what we are doing here, could understand the students and their children. So it bridges that, that gap, it closes
Mm.
that gap gradually. Right? Thank you,
Yes.
attorney. Okay, so are you still up for the next
Yeah,
question here?
sure.
Here it is. Esports has a negative effect or connotation to parents and even to teachers. So, how can we encourage parents to allow their children or their child to engage in a career in esports?
Mhm. Okay, so I guess for me, no,
Mm-hmm.
encouraging students to engage in a career in esports might be too much. No,
Mm-hmm.
kasi I think we have to get past first the first step of making sure that the parents and the teachers understand esports and gaming, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, I think AcadArena as a company is very careful when it comes to sort of convincing the youth to join or to like explore a career in esports and gaming. Because the reality is, like I said earlier, not everyone gets to work in esports and gaming because it's still a small industry, it's a growing industry.
Yeah.
Um, that's why there's a lot of focus for us on like transferable skills so that
Mm-hmm.
if you engage in campus esports and gaming, you graduate, you can bring those skills somewhere else. You might work in marketing, you might work in video production, you might work in design, not necessarily in esports and gaming, but you get to work or you get to those career opportunities because of the skills that you learn. So for
Mm-hmm.
us, I would say that the best way to like really get rid of that stigma is getting them to understand first, no, that um esports and gaming is not like before. Because
Mm-hmm.
I a lot of I guess of the older generation, no, that engage with video games in their youth, that's all they remember. For I've
Yeah.
met many teachers, many parents, no, when I talk about esports and gaming, they think like, oh, it's like Super Mario, diba? Or it's like Tetris, right? Because that's the
Yeah.
last times that they engaged with this industry. And
True.
you can't really blame them because they
Mm-hmm.
maybe they played Tetris when they were young and then okay, I'm done. Not their thing, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
completely fine, right? It's a new form of media, I think is the
Mm-hmm.
best way to explain it as well. I think when
Mm-hmm.
social media a good example, no, of like the stigma being dissolved is you look
Mm-hmm.
at social media, you look at Facebook, and
Yeah.
how it kind of like spread first
Mm-hmm.
with the younger generation, and then the older generation understood it and also like started participating. And it's because like they see the benefits, they understand why it's there,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it's a matter of time. It is really
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of time where um, parents and teachers who slowly understand what this is all about. So for us, it's important that the messaging is proper. Because
Yeah.
well, we'll look at the reality.
Mm-mm.
Um, not because sometimes even students don't get a full understanding of what the esports and gaming industry is. So it's
Mm-hmm.
also hard for them to explain to their parents,
Mm-hmm.
because they themselves don't understand it. How will they
Mm-hmm.
be able to explain and defend what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing
Yeah.
to their parents or their teachers? So yun, it starts really two ways. No, one, we kind of just have to wait, and two, the more the students and the youth
Mm-hmm.
understand what they're
Mm-hmm.
getting into, what the
Mm-hmm.
industry is like, what the opportunities for them are, then it makes it easier for them to explain to their parents or to their teachers
Mm-hmm.
exactly what esports and gaming is.
Yes. Wow, that is a very clear and nice explanation, attorney. So it's actually a very welcoming explanation to those who can really listen and understand with that one. So
Yeah, and it's
salamat.
not very easy as well, no. Just like I've heard this discussion a lot of times already.
Uh-huh.
Even for me,
Mm-hmm.
no, even for me, to be able to actually just explain it this way, it wasn't like instantaneous. So like
Mm-hmm.
for us, it's really working. It's a
Mm-hmm.
process. It's a process not only for the teachers but
Yes.
also for the students.
Mhm. And the result of that long exposure to those type of people who are at first not receptive, and eventually they become one of your allies and advocates of
Mhm.
esports.
Yes.
Great, and thank you. So let us move on to our fourth question. So if I wanted to have a job in esports industry later, on what course would you like to suggest that I will be taking in college?
Mm, okay. I would say it depends on what a student wants to get into.
Yeah.
Kasi like I showed earlier, it's a huge industry. If, for example, you want to get into game design, right? Then you
Mhm.
take game dev, you take software
Mhm.
development, you take ITIS, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of opportunities that would be available to you in the future.
Mhm.
If what uh, speaks to the student is, oh, I enjoy these like big tournaments, I enjoy
Mhm.
these big production well these big huge produced events, you might
Yeah.
want to explore work in entrepreneurship, in marketing, in
Mhm.
business.
Yes.
um yeah, and it's I guess it's very hard kasi to say like, oh, you get this course, right? Because I guess like look at me for example. I took up
Yes.
economics.
Mhm.
I studied law, I practiced
Mhm.
law, but now
Mhm.
I'm using the skills and trainings that I learned, in law, to be able to talk to teachers, to be able to talk to campuses, no. So
Mhm.
it's hard to point at one degree, no,
Mhm.
and say that this is the one you should take. I would say explore, take a degree that you
Mhm.
enjoy, right? Take
True.
a college course that you do enjoy, and
Yeah.
more likely than not, there is an opportunity for you in the
Mhm.
future for
Mhm.
esports and gaming, because it is just another form of media, no.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, whether it's marketing, whether it's design, whether
Mhm.
it's accounting. Game
Mhm.
companies need accountants as well. Um, there's a lot of like industries or a
Mhm.
lot of disciplines that are open for students. So I don't think
Correct.
it's limited to just a few
Mhm.
careers. I would say if you really want to like get into it, I guess those are the few examples that I gave. But I would say my real recommendation is
Mhm.
get a course that you enjoy.
Yes. Wow. So that's a really nice tip that you have shared with us, attorney. And yeah, thank you for that answer. And let us go to our last question for this
Mhm.
segment. And it says here, esports is gaining ground, but the countryside is still having problem, of course, with the internet
Mhm.
connectivity, right? So what would you suggest?
Okay, so this one is a more technical problem, no?
Mhm.
Where the reality is esports and gaming can't really solve the problem of internet connectivity. It is unfortunately one of the things that we do rely on.
Mhm.
Um, The nice thing about esports and gaming, though, no, is right now, at least in the Philippines, mobile gaming is becoming very popular. One of the most popular, I think it is definitely, like if I recall correctly, it's about 60% of the revenue of esports and gaming in the Philippines has come from mobile, more than PCs, desktops, etc. No,
Mhm.
um, which means it's easier for youth to get interested in esports gaming because nowadays almost everyone has access to a phone, right? If you don't have your own phone, most likely your family has a phone. When you go
Mhm.
home, you can borrow your dad's phone, you can borrow your mom's phone, and play an hour of Mobile Legends. Well, like one game lang ma, just one game, right? And sometimes that's enough for students to be able to engage. No, um, we are getting to a point where internet connectivity is becoming less and less of a problem.
Mhm.
I don't think it's a problem for esports and gaming to solve, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, I foresee that in the future, the better connectivity we have,
Yeah.
the more access that the user, like everybody has to,
Mhm.
even just mobile internet, I think um does help esports and
Mhm.
gaming sort of like take off here in the Philippines. Because
Correct.
mobile
Mhm.
gaming became popular, and if you
Mhm.
have 4G, if you have 3G, you have
Yeah.
data, you're able to participate in it.
They will. True. And you have also mentioned it earlier that with the advancement in technology and the
Hmm.
internet connectivity, the online or the progress in online gaming and esports goes with it as well. So
Hmm.
we are in constant evolution naman in terms of technology. We are really improving.
Hmm. Yes, that's true.
And that ends our open forum session, Attorney. Thank you very much for really answering all of these questions. And we will now end this segment. But before we end, would you like to share some parting words or message to our audience?
Mhm. I guess for me, thank you very much for the opportunity for having me or letting me speak here.
Mhm.
I would hope that the discussion has spurred the passion of some students out
Mhm.
here that are interested in esports and gaming. I hope there's a better understanding of it. That that this is more, again, the title of the talk. No, it's not just play. I hope that if anything sticks to the students, the teachers, the parents, no, is that esports is not just play, and that there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of things that students can learn, a lot of things that kids can learn, a lot of things that your kids can do in this industry, and it's not just about playing video games.
Mhm. Yes. So thank you very much again for your insights, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give a virtual round of applause and virtual reaction to Attorney Isaiah for generously sharing his time, of course, and expertise in this webinar. Right. So thank you very much. We also would like to express our most profound appreciation to our expert speaker, Attorney Isaiah San Miguel, Program Coordinator of Scholastic Partnership AcadArena, for his time. So we would like to present this certificate of appreciation presented by the province of Negros Occidental and Negros Occidental Language and Information Technology Center to Attorney Isaiah San Miguel for his valuable insights and expertise extended as resource speaker in the top NOLITC Esports webinar on creating career opportunities through campus sports and gaming, given this 29th day of March 2023 via YouTube and a Facebook live stream.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you again, attorney, and also to our virtual audience and participants who have joined us this afternoon. Madamo nga salamat. Thank you for your presence. So if you like this webinar, kindly share some virtual reactions, especially to our expert speaker, Attorney Isaiah. Let us make him feel that we really appreciate his time and his expertise by sending some virtual reactions right there. I also would like to emphasize how you can provide or how you could send your feedback through you could participate in giving feedback and evaluation in this webinar by scanning the QR code that is flashed on your screen right now. And also, we will be sharing with you the link to our evaluation. Kindly be careful with the email address and your names. So kindly do this right after the webinar ends or before 6 o'clock this evening, because the evaluation site will be closed by 6 o'clock. All right, so at this juncture, if we have Dr. Tina. Okay, so at this juncture, we will be listening to the closing remarks of our vocational school administrator and the manager of NOLITC Tech for Ed Center. Ladies and gentlemen, let us have Dr. Maria Cristina Arbisido.
Thank you, Ms. Red. I would like to extend our warmest appreciation to AcadArena Technologies for co-hosting our webinars as part of our Esports Education program for the province of Negros Occidental. I would like to personally thank Attorney Isaiah for being part of this advocacy, and also I would like to highlight some key points that he discussed a while ago. So I like the point on breaking the misconceptions on esports and also the emerging careers in this industry. I can just imagine the huge revenues he presented, like it's around 6.16 million US dollars, and that's really huge amount of money in terms of looking at the opportunities, the career opportunities in the esports career pathways. Also, um, the key point on esports as a medium of transferring skills for new and emerging digital media. And the last one would be esports as an equalizer. And he is one example of this key point. So I would like to highlight and underscore that the goal of our esports education program is for three things. That is for digital literacy, digital citizenship, and innovation. And this is a pioneering project of the province of Negros Occidental under the office of Governor Bong Lacson. And we are really aiming to empower all public and private schools in our province. We would like to collaborate further with AcadArena to introduce new career pathways to students. And in the future, we would want them to become innovators and creators in this new digital landscape. To all our participants in this activity, thank you for being part of these learning activities. We will showcase more of esports in the future. See you again in our future events. Knowledge inspires, knowledge cares, avance, negrense.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tina Orbisido, our vocational school administrator, for her closing remarks. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes NOLITC Esport webinar. And see you in the same platform again for more of NOLITC webinars. Again, kindly follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So that's it. Please stay safe and take care. NOLITC inspire. NOLITC cares. Avance, Negrense.